Hi everyone, my name is Kean, representing Sportslytics with this video. Got two topics to talk about regarding the NFL today as I play a little 2K in the background. So, first off, the deal of the day in terms of NFL draft is the Eagles trading up to the number 2 spot from the number 8, from even previous to that, the number 12 or 13. My immediate reaction is, makes no fucking sense. They had just signed Sammy Bradford to a 2-year, $36 million deal, and then they decided to sign Chase Daniel from the Chiefs because of his connection with Doug Peterson to a $21 million guaranteed deal. I mean, the full contract is even more than that. So then to really step up and move up to Carson Wentz didn't make a ton of sense to me, but they really believe he's their guy. So, I mean, automatically Bradford, who's starting this year, has to be thinking, oh, this year's kind of fucked for me because I'm pretty much a sitting duck at this point. I'm not their guy, clearly, even though he had a somewhat decent year last year. So he's probably not going to play too hot this year unless you think he's going to, just because he's going to be pursuing a deal after the season. So I guess he might really be playing his ass off. Chase Daniel, on the other hand, you just gave this backup a ton of fucking money to be a backup in case what? Bradford and Wentz don't work out. So, and Peterson believes that quarterbacks need a year to progress. That's great and all, but as soon as they lose 2 games and say start 0-2, everyone's going to be cheering for Wentz, then you lose all this freaking money. And let's be real. Let's be real here. I mean, you don't need a freaking franchise QB to win a Super Bowl anymore. Peyton Manning, Brady won, but they also had a good defense, and yeah, that was important. Russell Wilson playing on his rookie deal. Like, you don't need to have that guy unless you want to be one of the contenders all the time. But if you're just trying to win a Super Bowl, you could do it with Sam Bradford, and who even knows what Chase Daniel is. So they must absolutely love this guy. I think it's an idiotic deal unless they truly plan to sit Wentz for a couple of years, and that's because they gave up so damn much. Future first, future thirds. They got a 4th, but just so much lost that this guy that has limited experience, 200 passes thrown last year, in the 1AA, just not a lot of showing, a lot to give up when you already have a lot. So it's a confusing move. Secondly, on the agenda is Josh Norman of the Carolina Panthers. They rescinded his franchise tag offering because they knew that he was not going to accept it and that he was going to pout all offseason until he got a big deal, which he deserves. Although, funny story about Josh Norman, no one knew who the fuck this guy was last year this time. I promise you. Doing Dynasty Football Leagues, I inherited the Jets roster in this 32-team league fantasy league, and this guy Josh Norman was on my roster, and he had an expiring contract. I did a ton of research, as I always do with fantasy. This is the website for fantasy football. Did an absolute ton of research, and there was absolutely 0 reports on Josh Norman up until he got into a fight with Cam Newton midway through the offseason program last year. So they let him go because apparently they weren't going to sign him to the $16 million a year deal, somewhat similar to what Revis and Sherman have. I think everyone thinks that he's actually worth it. He's worth that. He's on that caliber with Revis and Sherman, but at this point, I don't know if that Revis deal is worth it. Even as a Jets fan, I'm not entirely sure. Probably not. It's back-ended, so they're going to get screwed when Revis is, 34 and such. So, I don't blame him for not wanting to pay him, but he's worth it. So that's the interesting part, because I don't really know what kind of caliber cornerbacks they have without him. I know they're at least decent. They have had a good defense the past few years. But just an interesting move to really not try to re-sign him. I guess they really didn't want to overachieve on their $11 million a year. But someone is going to net a great cornerback, and it has to be something off the field issues or some chemistry problems. They wanted to re-sign Starlu Tulele and Kawan Short, but it's a totally different position than the secondary. So there's got to be something else to this story that will probably come out either in the coming days or when someone else signs him and they say, hey, shit, this is why Carolina didn't want him. Dave Gettleman and all that. So, two main stories of the NFL today. We got the draft coming up soon. It's almost precisely going to be Goff, followed by Wentz. And then, depending on who takes the number 3, because the number 3 is now a hot spot with the San Diego Chargers. Who's that going to be? People talk about Tunsil or Tunsil, whatever his name is, the tackle. But the Chargers aren't a good fit for him. The organization has pretty much said it. They're beat writers. So they're probably going to move. The Cowboys need an edge rusher at 4. Bosa seems like the guy, although Shaq Lawson seems like a superb talent. I always say that because I watch him on ESPN. But, yeah, a lot of excitement coming up. So we'll see what's going on. Peace, everybody.